over there. And and it occurred to me when she said that I was becoming oblivious to it, because we are the obese country of the world now, the United States. Now, this diabetic thing is all tied into this, and this whole food industry, the crap that we eat, is all tied in with this thing. That's why food is medicine. What kind of food? Not the food we eat. And if you look at the food we eat and you talk about the fact that in the published literature, the medical literature, of the babies that were born in the year 2000, which means the current 4 and 5-year-olds, 35% of those kids are going to become adult onset diabetics. And with the Hispanic population, it's 52% of the boys and something like 48% of the 52% of the girls and about 48% of the boys. Half, 1 out of 2, over 1 out of 3 of the rest of the population. Does anybody realize the implications in the next 15, 20 years? Because when you're 40 and you're a diabetic at that point, if you're a male, your lifespan is shortened by 12 years. If you're a female, it's up to 19 years shorter as a diabetic, because so many things are associated with diabetes. It's the #1 cause of blindness. It's the #1 reason for limb amputations. It's the #1 reason for kidney failure. It's the #1 reason for male impotence over the age of 50. But we've got medical solutions for all those, don't we? We've got prosthesis for legs that are cut off. We've got dialysis units or clinics for kidneys that have failed. We've got laser therapy for blindness. And we've got Viagra for impotence. That's what we have. This is our solution to a situation that's all based on the fact that the food system is incredibly broken. In 1946, we used to consume 10 gallons of soft drinks per capita per year. And in 2004, we're now consuming in the United States 55 gallons of soft drinks per capita per year. Now that means somebody out there is drinking 110, maybe 150 gallons of soft drinks here, because I drink none. That's the average. You know what they say about averages? You have one foot on dry ice and the other foot in scalding water, you're comfortable. You know? And yet in the meantime, you've got Merck Sharp and Dohme, the largest drug company in the world, that just now admitted that their drug Vioxx, killed 55,000 Americans from side effects. And we have now, according to the literature that's coming out, that the #1 killer in the United States is not cancer, which, by the way, has surpassed heart disease. Heart disease was always #1. Now cancer is moving up. But bigger than that is an illness called iatrogenic illness. Iatrogenic illness. Does anybody know what iatrogenic illness is? You know what it is, yeah. It's illness caused by modern medicine. Oops, I'm sorry, medicine. Side effects from drugs. Maybe 140,000 admitted people die every year. Malpractice, negligence. But we're talking about the #1 wiper-outer of people is that which we're supposed to get, reconciled.
On the radio this morning, the ex-health minister in Victoria said that kills 16,000 people in Australia each year too. So that's 8% of our population.
So how many people?
16,000.
In which? In Australia. In all of Australia.
Referring to our failing health system.
Yes. It's everywhere. I mean, anywhere you have heroic medicine. And again, what I'm saying, again, is I have no problems with modern medicine in terms of trauma and crisis medicine. But heroic medicine doesn't work when the food supply has gone up in smoke. And that's what's happening. We no longer live on our traditional foods. And if you have European relatives, the Europeans still have some contact with their traditional diets. You hear this story about the Mediterranean diet. And the people who write the books about the Mediterranean diet would have you believe that the Mediterranean diet consists of swimming pools of olive oil and no animal fat. I can assure you that that's not the case. Italian people and French people and Spaniards eat lots of animal fat in the form of dairy products, or prosciutto, which is basically a ham from pigs that graze, if you want to call it that, wild in the chestnut forest, getting fat on the nuts. And those boars are shot and taken into the abattoir, butchered there, and then put into the meat markets as fermented meat. There's a lot of seafood that's eaten, and there's a lot of fruits and vegetables, yes, that are eaten, and they do use olive oil. But they use a lot of other things. They use animal fat, and they do eat a lot of animal flesh. It's a very diverse, omnivorous diet. From soils, I might add, that have been farmed for thousands of years, and they're high calcium soils and volcanic ash soils that are quite capable of producing nutrient density in these foods. So anyway, back to this whole story. In 1999, the month that I was diagnosed, my cousin died of cancer. He got some kind of cancer that I wasn't even sure, because nobody seemed to be able to hook the connections together, but I heard about the fact that they now knew he had cancer in March of '99. By May, the month that I actually got the diagnosis, is the month that he died. So I lost a best friend about 2 years after that, in 2001 of November, from pancreatic cancer. And a year ago, I lost my female partner from breast cancer after 8 years, of which I was not involved in her life in the early days, but the last couple years it was really amazing to watch somebody fight so hard and to go through what she went through and nevertheless not make it. And the reason why I do this is because I realize we're losing way too many good people way before their time. I mean, we're all going to die. That's not the issue. But I don't think parents should bury their kids, for one thing. And sometimes we have to face that, but I think if it's unnecessary based on the fact that the modern medical machine, and that's what it is, it's an industry and it's a machine, is all predicated on the fact that nobody's really interested in solving the problem, merely making money off the fact that people are going to go lockstep to an oncologist, understandably because they're afraid. They've got a life-threatening illness. You know nothing about the illness, and I know what that's like from watching people I cared about go through it and not make it, as well as myself go through it, and I'm still here. And that brings me to the story that, revolves around that particular time, which was in 1999. I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what. And what I knew was wrong was that my immune system just wasn't itself. I just was too susceptible to colds, which turned into things like bronchitis, flus that would turn into these raging flus that would last 3 weeks instead of 3.5 days or 7 days. So I was starting to peel the onion in my own sort of way, and I got lucky, quote unquote, and I was in a car accident where I had a back injury that caused me to go to get an MRI, and in discovering that I had some disc problems with the back injury, I also found from the MRI that I had lymph nodes in my abdominal area, one as big as a fist, and a number of other ones that were several times larger than quote unquote normal. And then you get the call. You know something's wrong, you know you're going for an MRI, and then you get a call and you don't have any idea that this is the call. And it used to be in the United States, the 3 most powerful words you used to hear was, "I love you." And now the 3 most powerful words you seem to hear these days is, "You have cancer." Hung up the phone and I thought, yikes, now what? Something inside of me told me, okay, this is an opportunity to be humble, Jerry. You know what you think of the medical institution, but here's an opportunity for you to be humble. And I realized that I knew nothing about this illness. I knew nothing about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so I decided that what I needed to do was to prostrate myself in front of the high priests of high medicine by going to the oncologist and asking them, what do you know about this illness and what do I do about this illness? So I did. And I went to see 2 oncologists on the same day. And it was amazing. And I'm glad I went. I'm glad I ended up taking the time and allowing myself to go through